It's the three of us. Boys, how's everything?
Wonderful.
Chris, glad to have you back at the table. Yeah, it's good. Good to be here with you guys again.
It was a little off last week. Not gonna lie. You know what I mean? Like just me and Dan. I felt like we needed somebody to ground us. Like, you know, I feel like we needed that stability.
Yeah,
last week.
I needed somebody.
A tripod is much more stable than whatever a 2-pod is.
Dude,
I don't know.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
that's true.
I didn't say that very eloquently, but I hope everybody understands what I.
You didn't, but that's fine. It's that's how we do things here. But anyways, guys, have you taught yourself anything that you're like really proud of during this whole thing? Like we're going on, I think we've been doing this for officially 5 months. Which is insane to think about. But have you taught yourself how to do anything you're really, really proud of? Because I can tell you I have mastered the strawberry old fashioned. Mastered it. Yeah. And I will tell you the recipe right now, guys. You get your favorite bourbon, whatever that is, doesn't matter. Cheap bourbon, expensive bourbon, whatever it is, you know, something that's good to sip. So I would say don't use Evan Williams for this. You know, I would just say go up a little bit higher. Like I would, you know what I mean? Just get some Bullet, you know, maybe like a Jim Beam single barrel, something like that. Maker's Mark, something that you like the taste of, not that you're just like, I like the taste of this whenever I mix it with Coke. You know what I mean? So
right.
That's what you got to do. Get your decent bourbon, right? Decent bourbon. You muddle a couple strawberries, 2 or 3, just depending on how much you like strawberries. So muddle them in there. You get a couple spoonfuls of sugar. And then I like to use ginger ale, but it's up to you guys. Up to you. Or you can use water. Just use a little bit. Not too much. Just a dash water, dash ginger ale. And then, bam, you've got a strawberry old fashioned. You know, mix it up, of course. Bam, you got a strawberry old fashioned. And it is my favorite thing to drink right now. And I am very proud of myself for making this.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm taking that recipe. I'm
Seriously,
trying that out this weekend.
I want to give it to the world because I'm telling you, I am not a person who makes drinks well, but I am a person who can make this drink. And I think if you can make it, then if I can make it, then you can make it even better than me. So I am proud of myself. Strawberry old fashioned. Try it out.
Okay.
I love drinks like that. Yeah, it's just like the manpower you have to put into making them kind of intimidates me. So I just lean toward the easier options. But I would love to learn how to make cool stuff.
It's just 3 steps. It's super simple because we always have strawberries in the house because of my daughter, right? So we're always giving her strawberries. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to see what I can do with strawberries. And then I made a strawberry old fashioned and it all works out. I love it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Better not be any fights over strawberries in your house. Don't let her know. Don't let her know you're taking them.
I do think about it sometimes. I'm like, oh, I can't make the strawberry old fashioned because I can't live with myself if my daughter doesn't have strawberries.
She has like 3 left and you take them for your drink.
That's the thing. It gets really weird. It gets really weird at night. So it's like 8:00 and then I look at the strawberries and I'm like, oh man, there's only 3 left. She's got to eat breakfast. Am I going to go to the store before she wakes up? Probably not. Okay, I'll do something else tonight. But yeah, that's what you got. So have you taught yourselves anything over this? Because like that's my biggest accomplishment over this whole thing.
That's the big one.
It's the big one. I'm proud of myself.
It's been like 5 months. That's your biggest accomplishment. I like that.
Yes, it is.
I have the first thing that comes to mind is I've taught myself how to do cardio without like a gym, without going to the gym. I have become a creature of habit over the years and am kind of like, it's a reflex for me when I want to do some type of cardio that I'm going to get on a stationary bike or I'm going to get on the treadmill, but I've branched out and found a lot of different ways to kind of stay fit. I've been doing different like hockey dry land workouts, which have been a lot of fun, different circuit training things. I've been going for morning walks every morning. So I'm not learning how to move necessarily, but I knew how to go for walks before all of this happened. But
no, you didn't.
I got lost a lot. I was not allowed to leave the house. So I don't know if that counts. Like I guess I found ways to be more creative in that sense.
All right. I learned how to make a drink. Chris learned how to walk. And you, Dan, what do you got?
Mine's I'm sitting here like going like, man, maybe I need to be more productive during this time at home. I don't know if I've necessarily taught myself anything versus mastered something that I thought I knew how to do pretty well already, and that's the art of hanging frames and hanging pictures on the wall. Dee Dee knows this firsthand, but
Yes.
that's just something I don't necessarily love to do, but I have done it a lot and I think do it fairly well. And I've had these frames, whether they're in this room or any other room in the house, that I've just like, that's one of the things I'd never get around to doing. I have a ton of art and sports memorabilia, and I just never know where to put it. And so I finally took the time and we put some stuff up on the walls, and it was just crazy how many times we actually went and did it and knew things that are up on the walls now, and how quickly you learn to like master that process. It got to a point where I've got it down to a science. I had a friend that moved over the summer. He asked for my help with those same things. I think I put up like 3 TVs in the process on the wall as well. So like hanging shit on walls, I got that down. My master class will be available in 2 weeks on how to hang things on walls. So that's what I think I did, is I elevated that game from what I thought was pretty competent already. So really
very
excited.
well-rounded.
Trying to be,
very well-rounded list.
I was going to say brewing beer, but that's mostly my girlfriend learning and then me just like reaping the benefits.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to steal that from her. There's definitely no self-taught anything going on there. That's just me reaping benefits. So I couldn't take that from her. So yeah, trying to be balanced.
Well, that's a well-rounded list. So let's start the brunch breakdown. What's going on, guys? It's Dee Dee out here in Palm Springs right now. Dan's in Pittsburgh. Chris is in Pittsburgh. And we got a lot to talk about today on the show. We'll get it off our chest to start. We got to talk about the socially distanced concert that's got everybody really excited for concerts right now. We'll talk about that. We've got a lot of college football news that I know Chris wants to talk about, and I have a great idea for how college football can move forward for this, and I think it's going to be a lot more fun than a lot of the conversation that's surrounding it. And there's this hilarious viral video with these 2 kids who are YouTubers, and they do reaction videos. They did one in the air tonight for Phil Collins, and it was pretty funny. And we're going to ask you guys, and we're going to ask ourselves what music made us feel that way, that was maybe older than us or something that we hadn't heard before. So then, of course, what we're listening to. But let's get it started, guys. Get it off your chest. Who wants to get us started? Christopher, you want to do it?
Chris.
Sure.
Go.
I can go first. To explain my absence from last week. It was an excused absence. If anybody was wondering, I have a doctor's note because my wife and I had our first child last week. Yeah, I have no sense of space or time at the moment, which is due in part to why we're recording this episode a day late as compared to when we normally do. What I want to dive into at the start of this episode is a realization that I've had in the short period of time since we had our baby. So not even a week and a half. I think I'm starting to learn like whether or not you should have children. So like if this is something you're thinking about, like should you or shouldn't you? Okay.
It's a late realization in the timeline there, Chris.
I'm really nervous now.
No, it's good. I have a very like a huge deciding factor for everybody. So if you don't have kids yet and you're thinking about, you want them in the future, I want you to think about, does your mom or your dad, anybody in your family, do you have a extremely good cook in the family? Because if you do, let me tell you, it is tremendous. My mom has been bringing over dinner every day since the baby was born. My mother is a tremendous cook, and we have been 100% reaping the benefits. It's been fantastic. But I thought to myself, if like everybody in my family sucked at cooking, like that may swing this whole experience in the other direction and make it maybe pretty rough. Okay. So just food for thought for everybody as you look forward into your future and decide whether or not you're going to build a family. If you don't have a well-established cook in the family, maybe try and find one. Find a friend that is reliable, that can show up every evening with dinner, because it's going to make your life easier and quite frankly, very enjoyable. We've had a fantastic time. So, Mom, thank you for all the food. It's been great, and looking forward to tonight's drop off.
Dude, that is so true though. Especially these first few weeks of having the kid at home. It's like having somebody just to know that you were eating, because you're talking about time. You don't know when you're eating. Like I remember Siobhan and I were eating at like 3 a.m. at certain times because we're like, did you eat today? I'm like, no, we did not eat today. Yeah, having somebody who can drop over food, because we had a bunch of friends who were dropping off food that they made or dropping off like takeout food or whatever it was, or ordering us pizza or whatever. It's like, that is so important, having somebody just make sure that like you at least eat one meal of the day.
Yeah.
Because the day is so crazy.
Like before we had the baby, like fitness is a huge part of my life. So nutrition is like what my days would revolve around. I would have meals at specific times for specific purposes, and all of it came together and made a lot of sense. We had days where I didn't even realize I wasn't eating. Like you're just so busy taking care of different things and doing things with the baby and just making sure everybody's set up and okay, that it's the first time in my life I feel like I forgot to eat, straight up forgot to eat. And thank God for my mom bringing over the food, because the dinner is made with built-in leftovers, so it bleeds into the next day. And yeah, it's been very welcome and a nice addition to the routine.
Beautiful. Chris, congratulations, man.
Yes.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats, and thank you for the making me think through everything in my future now regarding whether or not children are a good idea based on if my family can cook or not. So thank you for that heads up.
Yeah, it's a little known factor that the world needs to know.
Yeah. And for those who are wondering why last week's episode was called OMG, Oh My God Brunch, Chris, you can tell them why.
Olivia Madison Gates is our daughter's name. Her initials are OMG. Was not planned, but was a very happy accident when we realized how the name came together. So, yeah, that was a nice little subtle shout out when I woke up in the recovery room the next day and saw like an update, brunch breakdown. oh my gosh, brunch or whatever. Yeah, that was like, okay, that's pretty cool. I like
subtle nod to you.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. I'm going to go next. Here's what I'm going to get off my chest. Please, for the love of God,
yes,
stop.
I love when things start this way.
Stop making real political arguments about Kanye West. Please stop. Please stop. Nothing makes me more mad than, okay, so here's the thing. If Kanye wants to say he's running for president, that's fine. He can, let MTV talk about it, let TMZ talk about it, let E! News talk about it, all these people. But please, for the love of God, Politico, like CNN, Fox News, wherever you get your stuff, do not waste polling. You're wasting poll time on Kanye West. No, and it's like today a poll came out and it was like Kanye West fails amongst black voters. It's like, how stupid do you think people are? You know what I mean? No one really is saying, oh, I'm voting for Kanye West. That's what I'm doing. No one's doing that. He got 2% on some poll. And I'm like, I'm sure the 2% of people just put that down because they're like, yeah, I'm just going to put this down just for fun. 2% of people are not really voting for Kanye West. And it's also an insult to people who are actual like third party candidates. Like I know last in 2016, it was a big deal about like Jill Stein, but she was a real candidate. People actually believed with what she was talking about, right? And that's fine. But he's not a real candidate. Please stop. No one's actually voting for Kanye West. And the people who are, we're going to go out there and write in like their dog's name anyways. And those articles come out after an election, how many people voted for like Joe Schmo or some wrestler they like, or The Rock or John Cena or whatever. Like, people were going to do that anyways. Stop wasting time on Kanye West running for president. It's really making me mad. And also, it's really making me mad because this is Joe Biden's fault. Because if Joe Biden wasn't like 1,000 years old and just boring and terrible and all the things, we wouldn't be even talking about anyone taking votes from him. So just stop. Just please stop. No one's stupid enough to vote for Kanye West. Please stop wasting time on that. Please. Had to get that off my chest.
Woo.
Had to get it off my chest.
I mean, that's a good one. You know, it's all of this stuff, man. It's all about the clicks.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's a headline that's going to get people to click. Unfortunately, that's the way things roll now. It's about what gains attention. It's not about like what's important.
It's just embarrassing. I feel like for like publications and news networks that you actually trust, whatever side you're on, right? Whatever side you're on, if you're in the middle, whatever. It's like you're supposed to be able to go to places so you don't get the BS. And then when you go to those places, you see people talking about polling numbers for Kanye West. What do we? It's annoying, but yeah, had to get it off my chest. It was bugging me today.
That's a good one. My segment for Get It Off My Chest is more of a special shout out, almost an in memoriam, if you will, not to bring the tone down, but I want to, explore the world. This is the brunch breakdown after all. Let's talk brunch buffets. Okay. Now we all know 2020 has absolutely destroyed the life of any buffet, a China buffet, a brunch buffet, a lunch buffet, a sushi buffet, if you will, whatever it is. Buffets are dead. Cruise ship buffets, forget it. See ya. But like brunch began with the brunch buffet. Like maybe it was country clubs, whatever it was. Like the idea of having all of these options of breakfast and lunch in the buffet, the best American meal ever, started with the brunch buffet, and it's dying / dead. So the issue I have with this is they didn't get any respect, right? It became like this like laughing thing, like brunch buffet. Like, come on, we're gonna go here and get brunch. But here's the thing. Here's the problem with the brunch buffet. It was too ahead of its time. They weren't ideal or really accessible for like post, late night out, like post hangover brunch, which is a big demographic for brunch goers, if you will, present company included. And so brunch buffets weren't really scaled to that clientele. Like I said, you're going to a country club, it just wasn't made for that. The mimosa wasn't as big as it was. And all these other restaurants took that idea and like capitalized off of it. And like, let's just make it sit down and have like really high quality meals, and people will get to choose that way. So, shout out to brunch buffets is all I want to say, because I don't think we're having the brunch breakdown without the brunch buffet and everything that it offered. Whether it be wet eggs or not, we've talked about that on episodes past, as long as you're not having wet eggs, but you can have brunch and lunch. That's what brunch is at the brunch buffet. A lot of these brunch meals aren't, truly what brunch is. It's late breakfast. Let's be honest. I know what these restaurants are doing nowadays. So, shouts to the brunch buffet, man. I don't know when it's going to come back. It's dead in the water as it stands, but, I wanted to give it a special shout out. It's having a rough year and it deserves much more credit.
What episode number is this?
13.
13?
I feel like Dan's been stewing on this based on that intro for like 13 weeks.
Do you have
It's
like
important.
a bullet? Do you have like an outline sitting next to you so you have
Outline?
all the?
He's got a timeline. Did you hear that? He's got a timeline.
Dude,
He took us back into like the 1940s when Brunch Buffets started. That was unbelievable.
Dude, that was like an episode of Drunk History. Have you ever watched Drunk History? Like, Dan just took us through brunch history. There was like, there were no facts in there whatsoever. He's like,
no
I
facts.
think brunch started back in the country clubs in 1832. You're like, okay, Dan.
Right. No facts involved there. Just I should have done some more research with that, and had a timeline. I wish I would have been able to present that in that way, but it all sounds right?
No,
It all
no
sounds
facts, no facts, just passion. That's another
Facts don't
shirt.
matter. Wasn't
That's
that an
another
episode we
shirt
did
for
years
Dan.
ago? Was Facts Don't Matter? Wasn't that an episode title? I feel like it was.
That's fair. No, I think it was. That's fair. Yeah.
So there
Facts
you go. So
don't
shouts to the
matter.
Brunch Buffet, man. Couple of years. Give it a chance. Give it a chance again.
Wow. What a start, guys. All right, well, that was getting off our chest. Now let's get into this socially distanced concert. A dude named Sam Fender over across the pond had a concert, and it was in like what looked like a regular like amphitheater type spot where you have lots of people packed in. Well, now you kind of can't do that because of social distancing, but they had little pods of people in different places. I guess it was 5 per little box, and this concert kind of went viral. You can see this anywhere, and they pulled this off. 2,500 people, all distance. What'd you guys think of this?
Love it.
Yeah?
That's the only way I ever want to go to one of those concerts. Like the first thing I thought when I saw that was Dan and Dee Dee go to Coachella. They love it. That's the only way you could ever get me to go to Coachella, is if you give me my own box seats to remove everybody. But I mean, that's what it is. It's basically box seats for everybody.
Yeah.
And like you're with your group. So if you're going with a group, you should be able to be in close proximity with those people, but removed from everybody else. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, it is. It's like Podchella. It's an amazing idea, and yeah, I'm hugely in favor of it. For a number of reasons. One, if that's the way it's getting us back to concerts, I'm basically taking anything at this point, to be honest with you. And that setup doesn't look too terrible at all. And then there are just some concerts there. That type of setting is better. It's like being in a lawn seat type of concert where you're around your friends and you have the freedom to move without being in chairs or anything like that. And you have space, so you're not standing in this big general admission pit area where you can kind of like sit back, relax, and chill. So I think, especially dependent upon the concert, it'd be something I'm big time in favor of. And it looked like people were enjoying it. We'll shoot out that video along with when this episode goes live if you haven't seen it by now. But yeah, I'm big time in favor of it. It seems safe. It seems smart. People are plenty of distance apart. You know who you're going with, so you're close to people that you know. But I think it's perfect. I think it's genius. It's just a matter of how much you'd be willing to pay for something like that, I guess, because there's a lot more infrastructure involved and a lot less people there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with this. Like you said, Dan, like I want concerts back, and I will take this for whatever way. And also, I feel bad for people who are younger than us who like want to be in the pit, arm to arm, smashed up. I mean, we're all like in our mid-30s who love to go to shows, but like if it can just be me and my 5 people, like I'm good with that. Like, we're all in the pod together. Like, I am perfectly fine with that. The riffraff, whoever, they can be super drunk in your own little square. Like, that might be another thing that, that sticks around through all of this. Maybe box seats just become more of a thing.
So I don't know the detail. Like, all I saw was the video, so I don't know all the details about how it functioned. But the next thing that came to mind for me was like, are there servers? Because that's key. One, it means people aren't in concession stand lines, which is huge. And also convenience. I mean, that makes it that much better that I don't have to leave my pod to go. Like, they're just going to come around every once in a while, get my drink order, get my food order. Whew, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think you could even do it where you're selling it on different levels, right? Where certain levels have more things that come with them, whether, you get the server that's there for you all the time and you have like private bathrooms or something like that. I can see this really starting to expand and becoming a thing that grows. It'll be interesting to see what happens in different areas of this country if it gets to that, because it's really, yeah. Well, I guess that's a good question. Can you limit this just to outdoor venues? I guess it could be done in a big enough indoor venue. Whether even if it's just like an arena, that again, it can be really, tricky. You're not getting as many people in there, but if this is something that actually goes through into next summer, are we sitting here a year from now and this is the, you know, realistic world of what outdoor concerts are still going to be like a year from now? But yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to capitalize on it. Like I said, I think the production value probably costs them a little bit more and you're not getting as many people in there, but that's worth that's worth it versus nothing, right? The other option is nothing, and this is way better than something I think we talked about a couple of weeks ago, was like these drive-in concerts, and those are still going on. So I think it's similar to that, but it's even better. It's much better than that idea.
Yeah, you're
In
not
the
getting as many
yeah.
people in there, but like since they can upcharge because of the convenience, then they can make probably the same amount of money, you know?
Yeah, and then in the drive-in thing has never really sat completely right with me because it's like a novelty thing. It's like you go to a drive-in concert, you're like, oh, remember that year in
Yeah.
2020 where we went to go see blah blah blah, like in our cars. But that's not something you're gonna want to do all the time.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't feel like a concert. Like this looked like a show. Like this looked no different than if you've ever had a box at an amphitheater, or I know like wherever you go, if you've ever had a box in an outdoor place like that, like that's what that looked like. It just looked like everybody had one. And yeah, you can pay more for that. And if you add servers, you can pay more for convenience. And I think you can do it indoors. It just would be I feel like it would have to be like instead of, if you usually play like a 2,000 seat venue, you end up moving that to like an arena and then the floor is filled with those boxes
Yeah.
instead of like, because then that's how you space it out and you still get that amount of people down there, or still get however you still get at least close to that. I
Mhm.
just think that's people are just got to be creative. I think it's going to be an interesting time for concerts when this comes up. But that looked, I mean, i'm I'm here for it. But you had to, but the resale market, those people are going to be mad because I read that you had to buy the box, so you have to buy 5 tickets. That's how they sold them. Yeah, which I
Yeah.
think is fine, but I think that sucks if you can't go, because then I wonder if there's rules with that. It's like, do you have to sign up? Do you have to put your name on the ticket because of the time we're in right now? I don't know, but you know,
I'm willing to pay more than what a concert ticket usually costs for that generally, but especially now with not being able to go to concerts for months, if that's the option, I'm all for any sort of upcharge to, be in an environment like that again.
Well, I mean, going into next summer, I know we all hope that that things are a lot safer and everybody's healthier and there's a vaccine and all that type of stuff. But that doesn't, if all of that is the case, that doesn't mean everybody's still going to feel super comfortable around each other. So
right.
to kind of what Didi was saying, like this maybe should be something that amphitheaters and outdoor venues seriously consider. Think about like the country, I mean, summer is such a big time for like all those country music acts that just like roll through every amphitheater in the country. What are they
Yeah,
doing this summer? Nothing. But
nothing.
if those amphitheaters can get creative, you can make it happen.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And the bigger ones, like like the big touring act, like the Kenny Chesneys, the Luke Bryans, the ones who sell out the stadiums, like, do you want to play shows, or can you just put a bunch of boxes in Heinz Field? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I think you can make that happen.
Yeah.
This gets me excited just because it looks like, because I've been wondering how concerts were going to be, and we've seen some of them that have gone bad, or some of them that the ones that have actually went the way they're supposed to, this look weird. This looks like a concert. So gets me excited that like we're gonna get concerts back at some point soon. So
We
I'm
have
excited
hope.
about
I
that.
love it.
Yes, we have hope. We have hope. I love it. I love it. Coronavirus hope talk into not so much. Let's talk college football, guys.
Yeah.
There's the
Yeah.
segue.
Now we'll go down. Yeah, college football looks like Big 10, Pac-12. They just canceled football for both those. The Pac-12 said no winter sports either until further notice. So that means basketball is out for the Pac-12. So and all the other I think the other conferences like the SEC says they're going to try to move on. The Big 12 put out their conference schedule today. Yeah, I mean, as we're all fans, but you guys, season ticket holders for Pitt football, how are you guys feeling about all of this?
Do you want to start, Dan?
Yeah.
Chris, the excitement just beams off your face. So you gotta share that with us. I know what you're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the confidence level can't be high for anybody. So not, I don't feel great about it. It's fitting that the weirdest mainstream sport, which is college football, for a number of reasons that we're not going to get into, just like when everything's perfect, college football is so weird. So for us to be now in just this even weirder situation is kind of hilarious and sad at the same time. I'm really like fascinated by I am super entertained by everything that they're trying to do and the proposals and who's doing what and who's not, and just like seeing the news updates each day, what changed today and who's doing this and then who says they can't, because like the conferences have like their own medical teams, and like there are doctors here saying, yeah, you can play football, and there are others here that are like, no, you can't do that. So I don't understand any of it. It's entertaining, but it's yeah. I mean, it's the confidence level is not high.
Yeah, it's a mess because they're all kind of determining it based on a risk factor, right? They all have the same scientific information and evidence and things like that, and they have the advantage of kind of seeing what these other sports have done to try to get back. Now, the big disadvantage is there's no way you can bubble the sport of football, period, let alone college football, which is absolutely enormous across these, conferences and things like that. So it's no shock. It was a matter of time before somebody was going to come out and say they weren't playing football. It actually started with the Mid American Conference. Northern Illinois went into a meeting and they're like, "Nope, we're not playing." And then everybody else was like, "Maybe we shouldn't play either." Um, and then they don't have the money to test everybody for a small conference like that. And I think that sort of became that domino effect, because all of a sudden the Big Ten went from releasing their schedule to 6 days later canceling the entire season. It's like, wait a minute, what did you guys find out? You guys not telling us something? So it's wild how it evolves day to day, not even week to week, but day to day. I think the SEC especially is going to do whatever they can to try to play football this year, but it just seems really, really difficult to be able to do something like this. They've slated it where there's 2 off weeks where if they need to cancel something, postpone a game, whatever it may be, that's 1,000% is going to happen. The amount of kids on a college football team, they're going to be on campus throughout the week. Again, you can't even bubble them on campus as much as you want to. It's really, really tough ask. Are you going to ask them to never go out on the weekends? Ask a college kid to do that? Best of luck, everybody. That isn't going to work. So as much as you want to test them, you can try to pull out, the guys that are positive. It's going to spread so quickly. I think it's going to be an unfortunate mess. If we see a couple of weeks of college football, I think I'll be happy to at least do that, whether that be in person or on TV. So, but I think those conferences that you mentioned, the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, I can appreciate their, understanding that they're just being patient, that they're not saying we're playing football. I think the SEC saying that, but they're not 100% in. But they're still 5-6 weeks even until some of those seasons technically start. So you don't have to pull the plug yet, but I don't know what miraculous thing they expect to happen within that time frame where it can't just blow up in their face and everybody focuses on spring football.
See, the testing part that when I read about the testing and how much it costs to like test in mass like this,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, all right, that's a lot of schools aren't going to be able to do this. I'm
Yeah.
like, because I mean, I'm a West Virginia University grad fan, all that stuff. Can they afford to do this? I would assume no, that they can't afford to do this in the right way. And then you talked about the MAC. It's like those schools can't afford to do that.
No.
That's why the first ones were to go were like the MEAC, the SWAC, the MAC, all these schools. They were like, yeah, we're not doing this. The Ivy League was the first to go. And they're like, yeah, we're not,
Mhm.
we're not doing this, guys. It's just not happening. And and you've had this turned into like a whole political thing, which is kind of stupid because everything has to turn into, oh, you're on the left, oh, you're on the right. It's like, no, we just kind of don't want kids to die from these weird heart diseases or brain things that could possibly come from COVID,
Right.
but one thing I have thought, and this turns this into a interesting conversation, is I think college football from here on, I think we're about to see a huge change in it all. I think we're going to have college football with these huge schools. I think this could work. I think with the schools that have the money, like your Alabama, your Clemson, your Texas schools, all of that, I think they are going to break off and Ohio State, turn these into their own little situation that they have. And they're going to have their own league and deal by their own rules, and they will have the money to do all this stuff. And then I think the rest of college football will just be regular college football. Because I think that's what's happening right now is you're just seeing the schools who are the loudest, the conferences that are the loudest are the ones with the schools that just have unlimited donors. These guys who are billionaire oil people, all that, and they're making sure we have all the money to do this. But most of college football can't do that. So I think you're going to see a huge blow up in college football. And I don't know. I mean, of course, facts don't matter. I don't know if this could happen in contracts and TV and all that stuff. But I just think that we're going to see just a huge super conference thing that's going to happen. And then everyone else is going to just, conference up, and that's going to be regular college football as we know it. And that's how I'm looking at this situation. I don't know. I feel like that could work. And I kind of a little excited about it. I think some things could actually turn college football away from the crazy conference situation that we had like 10 years ago and kind of get some things back to normal.
Yeah, I'm with you in a sense. Like, I think that one of the resulting factors from this is going to be that everybody agrees that, okay, we've been doing this for 150 years with no centralized leadership at all. And the NCAA is supposed to provide some type of leadership, and they are just hands off with everything. So I kind of think that the 5 power conferences are going to start communicating more, and we may see 5 years down the road or so that they are their own league now. And to what you said, Didi, then the rest of college football is just the rest of college football. Maybe they play in the spring. I know some people have suggested that, but there has to be some sort of leadership that or governance over the whole thing, because it's just ridiculous that like these commissioners aren't talking to each other, but they're all trying to play a season and compete for the same national championship. That makes no sense. And then they think they're on the same page, but then the Big Ten changes things, and then everybody else changes things and moves their seasons back, and then everybody thinks they're on the same page again, and then the Big Ten just cancels the season without talking. Like that's why it goes back to what I said. Like, part of the reason I love college football is because it's so weird, but this is an aspect of the weirdness that is like you have to change it. It can't keep going on like this.
Yeah, because you have those big schools, even within those conferences, the Big Ten and the Pac-12, that want to play. Yeah. And you have the presidents actually voting on this decision, making it even more complicated, because you see the movement all over social media where the players want to play, the coaches want to coach, they all want to be out there, even the athletic directors, but the presidents of these universities are making these decisions, and they don't align with necessarily what their conferences deciding. So the idea for them to separate, I think, is even more likely. I heard something today that said that the fact that the Power Five are not on the same page, if 3 of them play and 2 of them don't, that is changing the landscape forever, that it's not going to be the Power Five anymore, that they're not on the same page. Because, like you mentioned, Chris, there's no leadership there. The NCAA isn't and can't do anything about this. That's the crazy part. So, do we all hope that there is some college football this fall? Absolutely. Would it be great if we got it in the fall and the spring? Yeah, that'd be pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Whatever's safe, whatever works. Might have 2 national champions, whatever it is. But it's going to be very interesting over the next few weeks to see even more how it continues to develop. I think the SEC is the last man standing on the ship, and they're going down with it, whether they want to or not. So that'll be interesting to see. I think if you're in the South, we're gonna have football to watch down there. But yeah, a lot of money, a lot of contracts, a lot of things. Didi, you mentioned, we talked about the testing, even the money for the testing. It all has to be considered. I don't know. I can't. I don't envy any of these people in these positions. Especially if something terrible would have happened, what the backlash from that would be. Let's just hope that we don't get to something like that. But everybody's wanting the same thing, but having to make these decisions can't be easy.
Yeah,
It's,
and
go
another
ahead.
thing that's really annoyed me though is that like when I talk about these things, it just comes from this place of like I guess maybe because I'm a parent now or something, and I'm thinking about like how these parents have to decide if they're going to send their kid back to Morgantown or send their kid, and who knows where they're from. All college football is national. Like you could have a kid in California, he goes to West Virginia to play football. It's like, do I want my kid to do that? I don't know. I don't think I would let my kid go back. I'm like, you know what? No, I think we're gonna opt out this year. Like, I think I'd rather you just, have your health. And
Yeah.
then we'll see how it works out next year and stuff. Like, I think and that's where I come from. It's not that I don't want football. I think there's this weird sided thing that's turned into where it's like, oh, you want football canceled or whatever. It's like, no, I don't want football canceled. I love football. I want college football there. It's just that like it just seems weird when you're doing it with kids who aren't paid. They get their scholarship, I know, and that's a whole different conversation. But it's like with the NFL, these guys are making a choice. If they want to play, they are getting paid. This is their job. And if that's what they want to do, cool. But with college kids and kids between 18 and 23 years old, I'm like, you kind of have to protect them. And I know they're adults, but you have to protect them because, of course, they want to play. # we want to play. Yeah, no shit. We know they want to play. Everybody wants to play. But it's just like, is it safe? I would like it to be safe and not have to think about, is this player going to get sick that this just happened to on the field, because that's just going to make for it's not going to be enjoyable to like watch college football.
Well, the waiver thing. So like there were schools early on that were having their players come back and sign waivers to like release liability.
Yeah.
And that quickly got kind of scratched. And I think all the conferences now have said you have the ability to opt out and save your scholarship. So that's a good thing. Depending on how many players would opt out, then you could be looking at a product that's just kind of like, all right, well then why are we really doing this? It's just such a delicate balance. But to that point you made, Didi, I think with the players being paid or not, well, they're obviously not being paid. I think that's probably another domino that falls with this whole thing. And I don't know how quickly it'll happen, but if you have that shared governance, then you have an opportunity to maybe have a council of players, a representative from each team, and they can have a voice in this, because the really unfortunate thing is the kids don't have a voice, and they're doing their best to try and unify themselves. But, at the end of the day, as it is right now, every Big Ten football player said they want to play, and then the conference canceled the season. And there's a lot of reasons why they did that. So, it's just, there's so many factors that come into this whole thing. It makes it confusing. But, to Dan's point earlier, to bring this back, full circle, I agree with you, Dan, in that I think that as of right now, the Big 12, the ACC, and the SEC I think they're right in still waiting this out for the sole reason of everybody put in protocol because they said that this is how we can do it safely. And I thought it was a little premature for the Big Ten and the Pac-12 to do it for 5 days and then pull the plug where, they didn't, most of the schools didn't even start their training camp yet.
Right.
What I'm interested in seeing is just, okay, when these schools start their training camps, what do things look like? I mean, we may find out really quickly that it's a horrible situation. And then obviously, you got to scrap it. But I thought it was a little bit premature. And why do you release the schedule 5 days before you're just going to cancel the season? Man, like if I'm a Big Ten fan, talk about the emotional roller coaster. That's not fair. If that happened to me with Pitt, I'd be requesting like 4 dinners a day from my mom. I would be so upset.
Yeah, this story is ongoing, as we keep saying, but just we had to talk about it because stuff happened this week, and it was interesting. One big point to point out is like Michigan's president is an epidemiologist, and I believe one of the schools in the Pac-12, one of their presidents is an epidemiologist too. That may have something to do with why they were the first two to just be like, we're done, and that's what we're doing. So we'll see how it goes. All right, well, let's get into something fun. Dan, let's talk about this one, In the Air Tonight. You brought this one up in the old group message. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the video that went viral about a week ago, I guess now, is you have the two twins that are listening to In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins for the first time, and the reaction is absolutely priceless. If you haven't seen this video, please do yourself a favor and go and watch the whole thing. Just their reactions to when the beat drops and how it like drops halfway through the song, and they're like, "Who drops a beat halfway into the song?" Totally unexpected, and it had me thinking. That song is really old. And so for those kids to be hearing it for the first time and getting that raw reaction was pretty cool. And it just had me wondering, was there ever a song, a moment like that I had heard a song that was, out way before my time, and remember hearing for the first time, it had a similar reaction. So I posed that question to you boys to see if there was something that you could remember hearing a song for the first time that just wowed you, but was way past the time when it was initially released. So anything come to mind?
Dude, Prince's whole catalog. Listen, my parents, I love them. They gave me my great musical tastes. Like, they have so much different kinds of music in my house. But somehow Prince got skipped over in my house. And I don't know how. I mean, because I was born in the 80s, lots of Michael Jackson. Of course, my dad loves James Brown. And just every kind of music possible. My mom's a huge Beatles fan. Like, every kind of music playing in my house, right? But for some reason, I didn't really get into Prince until college. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. Like, I did nothing but talk about Prince for like a solid year when I was in college, because I was like, this guy is better than everybody. What is the deal? And then, as you learn, it's like you talk to older people about this, like, yeah, like Prince was like that dude. And especially after Prince's death. And it was like really like yeah, he was that guy. And as I just remember hearing The Beautiful Ones for the first time, if you haven't heard the song, to me, it's Prince's best song. And it's just like, his voice is incredible. He's playing the guitar on this track. Like, I didn't know he could just play every single instrument. Like, Prince's catalog is just insane. And that's how I felt when I felt those kids' energy when I was like, when they're listening to In the Air Tonight and just saying all these things. And I'm like, that's exactly how it felt when I was like, did a deep dive on Prince when I was in college. And it was just like insane.
Chris, what about you? You have any song that really, really hit you hard when you heard it for the first time that was maybe a little older?
Not necessarily one that's an older song. When I watched those two kids react to this song, it made me think of how rare it is nowadays to not know a popular song just in general, even if it is an older song like that one, just because of our ease of access to music. And it took me back to when I was in, high school, and Dan, you can relate. I mean, we we had 2 bands and we were feverishly writing music and trying to, network with other bands and stuff like that to find a way to get our music out there. And I just remember how cool it was to discover new bands back then, because you had to really work. You couldn't put Spotify on and do a station for an artist and then stumble upon somebody that you never heard of. You had to go to shows and you had to see bands and catch the openers and then find out who they were touring with. And it made me think about that a lot. And for whatever, the band that I thought of is nowhere near on the level of Prince. So I apologize for that. But we were in a ska band growing up, and I remember trying to find like bands and new sounds and stuff like that. And when I stumbled upon the band Streetlight Manifesto, which if you haven't heard of them, they just like basically every song is a symphony. I just remember stumbling upon them and just the sound explosion that it gave me was unbelievable, and I couldn't stop listening to their stuff. And so I guess more than anything, that's kind of what it took me back to, because like even that song, that's like a really popular song from the Hangover movies. Like so it was a popular song then, and then it was in a really popular movie later. I was surprised that they hadn't heard that, and it made me think about how it's hard to not know songs from the past anymore. It's a weird sentence, but that's kind of what I thought of.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's a really good point where, there was no ease of access as there is now to be able to find all of those things. And a lot of those things weren't even digital when music became digital, right?
Yeah.
Those catalogs weren't readily available even then. You couldn't log onto LimeWire and pull up, everything available. It just took so much longer for all that stuff to become digital music. Didi, you mentioned Prince. That's one that absolutely came to my mind. That was mind blowing to me the first time that I had heard Prince's music. But even growing up, like being born in the 80s and growing up in the 90s, there was still music that I probably should have heard, but I didn't hear until much, much later. Like you mentioned Michael Jackson. Like I think I was familiar with Michael Jackson, but he was still putting out music in the 90s. But like even just songs like Thriller, the first time I heard it, it was just like, holy cow, this is something different here. This is something completely different. A lot of Michael Jackson's older stuff that I didn't get around to until much later, unfortunately. The Beatles as well. The song Yesterday, I still think I react to that song today the way that I heard it the first time. Just a mess, just an absolute mess when I hear Yesterday, or even Blackbird by the Beatles. Oof, do not get me started. But then the other one I remember clearly was a specific song was Piano Man by Billy Joel. And if anybody drove around in my car in high school when I first got it, that was on every burnt CD I think that I had on full blast.
Dude,
just like discovering this like new tune, like Piano Man, blasted it, singing every word. I love it.
I see the entire senior year of high school is defined by that song just because just because you were the only kid with a car and that was always on the CD. Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
Oh my God, Dan, you were that guy. You were that guy who was like, listen, I'm the one driving. We're listening to Piano Man.
If we're going to just like fully break open that box, it was Piano Man and it was Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. Now that wasn't an old song, but man, did I love that song. And I turned that shit up all the way. That was a great song. Those were always on those burn CDs. I had them up in the visor, like all these like 12 or 10 CDs, and no doubt that was on every single one of them. Both those songs, so good.
I remember.
Oh my gosh, that was speaking of what you said, Chris, about those kids, you're like, I can't believe they hadn't heard the song. Hangover is now 11 years old.
Oh.
Just thought I'd let you, because I was like, how old is The Hangover? And I'm thinking like 2012 or something. No, 2009. 2009. Yeah, The Hangover is 11 years old. So, yeah. And those kids are young in that video. So, like, I would guess that they were like 10 years old when The Hangover came out. That's what I would guess.
Yeah, so, I guess I think of The Hangover as like a still somewhat fresh in the memory movie, but It's 11 years old. That plus realizing that my daughter's going to graduate college in 2042 have made me feel really old this week. So thank you for adding to that.
I don't like any of that.
Oh man, I can't wait for Olivia Insertion to be like, we're going to Coachella. Let's do this in 2045.
And me,
2045 Coachella.
We're like, can we reserve a pod so we're not around all the kids?
Oh man, I just thought about that. We're gonna be like, oh crap, our kids are gonna go to a concert, and then like we're gonna be all right. You got to check in at like in an hour. You got to come back and see me in like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can go back. Wow.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a thing. Wow. I just lost my mind for a second. Okay, well let's get into what we're listening to. All right, guys, this week, an amazing video came out this week. I want to start it off with this, called WAP with Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Did you guys check out the video?
Yes. Yes, I did. Also, one I won't forget the first time I watched. I won't forget that.
I wish somebody was recording my reaction when I watched that video for the first time, because that's
wow,
something.
Big time. Wow.
There's a lot happening. And but I specifically liked the parodies of it that came out after it was released. Like there was one where they opened a door and Michael Scott was dancing in the room to the song.
Disco.
Like, yeah, the parody. That's a very parody strong music video, which I appreciate.
Yeah, there's lots of parodies. Lots of people popping up in those side rooms, which I think is like super funny. There's one with like Nancy Pelosi dancing on the in one of the side rooms. Someone put like Ruth Bader Ginsburg's face on somebody dancing on the side. Dude, the internet's amazing. I love the internet so much. But yeah, that video is incredible, and I can't really say too much about it without getting a work email. So I'm, it's a great video though.
Have on the incognito browser or something, or on your phone away from public places when you watch that video. But wow, big wow.
It's not one to watch at your local public library. All right. Well, guys, what are you listening to? Chris, since you missed last week and the week before last, too. That's right.
Yeah.
Let us know what you were listening to. We haven't caught up with you in like 2 weeks.
Well, you're going to be extremely disappointed, gentlemen, because I don't know if you're familiar with having a newborn at home, but you don't listen to a lot of things. You watch a lot of TV on mute. I'm learning how to do regular daily tasks in the most quiet form that I possibly can. So for what we're listening to this week, it's a lot of the white noise machine. And that's about it. I don't have music for you guys this week, but I'm hoping that the What We're Listening To segment between the two of you and then the Sounds of Brunch playlist that we released every week, I'm hoping that can be my reintroduction to hopefully listening to some music in the near future as I try and figure out that part of my life.
But wait, you had music the week before last, though. But you did. You had music the week before last.
Oh, you want me to explain the...
What's those? If you have because if you have nothing but Olivia's beautiful sounds that she makes.
Yeah, so I had I put Justin Bieber on the playlist a couple weeks ago, and what was the other one? The Hot Girl Bummer. I put those, and those were sponsored by sitting in the parking lot of a doctor's office while your wife goes in to have her checkup, because during COVID, husbands aren't allowed into the doctor's office with their wives. So I spent a lot of time in the car just listening to regular radio. And those two songs I just enjoyed. They got me through sitting in the car for like 45 minutes. So Justin, I appreciate you. And that's where that came from.
Okay. I thought those are picks off the board a little bit. I was very anxious to hear your explanation and reasoning behind those. So double R, regular radio, bringing those back for you. Okay.
And I had a lot, I don't have the notes in front of me. I had a lot of like, I researched Hot Girl Bummer because I had nothing to do. And
It's a
it's
good
a
song.
it's a great song. I guess there's a lot of controversy, and people think it's a response song to Hot Girl Summer and the posts and hashtags and stuff like that. And he says like the guy was like, no, it's not. But like then he talked more about it, and it kind of is. I don't think he knows why he wrote the song, but I like it. I like listening to it, so it was on there.
It's just a cool breakup song. Like I like songs that are good, that make good use of the F word. Like that's the thing. Like I love breakup song. I love a really good breakup song that's not like a sad breakup song. I love a good fun breakup song. And he's literally just saying F you, I hate you and your friends hate me too. Like those are breakups sometimes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And just like CeeLo's F you or the Dreams Florida University, like I like songs that tell the ex, F you. Because,
Yeah.
relationships don't always end great. Like sometimes you're psycho, she's psycho, both of you are psycho. I don't know. Like,
Right.
that's just how it goes.
Well, Chris, the one thing we'll be at least anxious to look forward to is your recap of our picks for next week's
Yes.
episode of this week's Sound of Brunch. I always enjoy your thoughts on our picks. So my first one, actually, a couple of mine are going to be from artists that I've put on playlists in recent weeks with some newer music. The first one being Remy Wolf. I put her single "Woo" on from her. I think it was her EP. I'm allergic to dogs, and so she released a new single. And Chris, your wife and now mother of your newborn, big fan of that song "Woo." She told me personally, big fan of "Woo" by Remy Wolf.
She liked it a lot. Yeah.
She does.
Woo
So a new
sounds like a
single
song
that she
Katie hates.
dropped last week, Monte Carlo, super catchy. It's still got that like alt pop vibe. I'm becoming a bigger fan of hers, and every time I see some new music from her, I go to it right away. So Monte Carlo from Remy Wolf, my first choice this week.
All right, my first one is a throwback. About 8 years ago, two guys, 9 years ago now, actually. Two guys you may know. Talked about them at the beginning of this. Jay-Z and Kanye West put out an album together called "Watch the Throne," and it was their 9th anniversary this week. And a lot of people were posting videos from the Watch the Throne tour. And I was listening to the album this week, and talk about an album that has aged very well. Like I actually think that I enjoy that album more now, and I enjoyed it then, but for different reasons. And it's like those themes that they're talking about on that album are a lot of what's going on today. And it's just a lot of what I'm going through right now. Like they're talking a lot about children. They're talking a lot about police brutality and what's going on in the streets right now. They're talking a lot about a lot of the stuff that's going on. It's a very relevant album for what's happening in 2020, and it's just a really really great listen. It's them two at their absolute best. And as a Kanye West fan, sometimes you need to listen to Kanye West music to just forget about everything that he's doing right now. And that and Watch the Throne is a very very good way to do that. So that's one of the things I definitely listening to, and I'll throw a couple great tracks from that on the Sounds of Brunch playlist.
Nice. Very cool. Very cool. My next pick is somebody I honestly never thought I'd put on any sort of playlist, especially for a pop punk song, and that's Machine Gun Kelly. I'm not the biggest fan of Machine Gun Kelly. Every once in a while there'll be something that I like from him, but few and far between. But this pop punk stuff that he's doing, I dig it. I really do. He's done his research. He's working with the right people. He's not just trying to do it on his own. I encourage you to kind of find out everything that he's doing. I did enough research for the Brunch Buffet, so take it easy on me trying to keep this short. But he's released a couple of songs. Bloody Valentine came out earlier this summer, which is great. Concert for Aliens, another one I'm a big fan of. Then he had another one with who was it, with Black Bear over the weekend as well that came out. But Concert for Aliens, I'll throw that one on this week. The upcoming album is Tickets to My Downfall, which is a great name for an album. It's been delayed a couple of times, but it finally looks like it's going to be released sometime in September. So he's making it work with his voice and the styles there. Chris, I'm going to be very curious as to your opinion for this one, because this one, especially Concert for Aliens, has a very traditional classic pop punk vibe to it. So with the sound there. So I'm looking forward to more pop punk from Machine Gun Kelly.
Tickets to my downfall as he starts dating Megan Fox.
Right. And not exactly, right?
Sorry, MGK. I'm not really down for the downfall as you and Megan Fox are just like, or making all the headlines on Instagram. You guys just posting pictures like naked in front of mirrors every day. Like, sorry, tickets to my whatever. Whatever. Anyways, next pick is Kyle. Kyle makes a lot. Kyle's somebody I wasn't a fan of until me and Dan saw him at Coachella, because Dan and I were running around like wild animals that during this time of like no one that we really wanted to see was on stage at the time, but there were like 5 acts on at the same time that we were like, let's go see him for like 15 minutes. And that's probably why I have back issues, is from that day. I really think they come back to that day. But anyways, Kyle was one of them, and he was so good live, like super good live. And I never really messed with him before. And ever since then, I realized that the reason I'm not into Kyle that much is because he makes music for people that are younger than me, right? So, but it's really good, and it takes me back. And when he gets it right, like the song called Yes that has Rich the Kid on it, it takes me back to a time when I was in my early 20s and we were going out all the time and we were just having fun. And it's just like reminds me of that. You know, we talked about Chitty Bang a couple weeks ago. We talked about like, you know, early Mac Miller, early like Wiz Khalifa, like just that early Wale, just that super fun music that those guys were making, like Big Sean at that time. And that's what Kyle's music like reminds me of, is music of just like that time that's just really bouncy. It's really not about much other than like your friends and hanging, and just like it's very innocent, and I just enjoy that. And the song called Yes with Rich the Kid, I just can't get out of my head.
That's a great pick. Yeah, I think we were going between like Greta Van Fleet. I'm trying to look up at the poster to think who else it was. I think it was between Greta Van Fleet, Tank and the Bangas, and then Jack Antonoff's band.
Yeah.
Why I'm blanking on it right now. I don't know. The song Roller Coaster is amazing, but that was a crazy, amazing time. I like that pick. Another one I'm going to go with is a group that you've probably heard of from their song I Love It that they did with Charlie XCX. Icona Pop, the Swedish electropop duo, is back, and they dropped a track which is so catchy, Feels in My Body. It's a high energy dance track. Serge is at the table. What's up, Serge? But Icona Pop, Feels in My Body. That's an energy driver. Good to hear from those two again. It's a really, really good song. So that's going on this week's playlist as well.
Nice. Sorry for the stage crasher there. Saoirse getting ready. She heard Coachella and she got ready for 2045. She was like super, super excited for 2045. And I don't know if I've put any Trevor Daniel on this playlist, but I am a big fan of Trevor Daniel right now. He's got this song called Past Life that I like the regular version of. Now he's got one with Selena Gomez on there. The song came out probably like a month ago or so, and I have just gotten really into his music. He has a song called Falling that's still on the radio a lot, and I'm very surprised that if you had to have heard that while you were sitting in your car, because I feel like it's on the radio every 5 seconds, Chris.
Yeah,
but Falling is a really good song, but Past Life is the one I'm going to put on there, and I really do like the remix with Selena Gomez, and I'm not a big Selena Gomez fan, but she sounds really good on it. So yeah, Trevor Daniel, Past Life. That on there too.
Nice. My last one to wrap things up. I mentioned I had some artists that I've had on the playlist before. In fact, I'm going to go back to one that I had on last week, and I don't care. Glass Animals, their album Dreamland came out. I had a single on from last week. The album's fantastic. It really is. I'm really blown away. I've always been a casual fan of Glass Animals, but this collection of songs really impressed me, and I'm a big fan of it. So I'm going to put Tangerine, maybe another song on there as well from that Dreamland LP. That came out last week. So if you're into that type of alternative type of music, I encourage you to check that one out. So that'll be what I rounded out with.
Well, boys, this was fun. Yeah, this was good. I'm happy we're all back. Chris,
right.
Tired. Dan, energetic as always.
Trying to balance, right? That's it's all about this balance, you know. Chris wasn't here last week to yell at me for my pumpkin spice takes, so we need to have that balance.
I know. And the week before, I could not tell you how horribly shit. What's that Will Ferrell song?
Yeah, ding dong.
How much I hate that song. I'm so pissed my power went out because I wanted to rip you a new one for that. Like I told you guys before, we had took Jay Sean off the playlist because he was ruining my vibe when I was working out. Imagine Ya Ding Dong coming on when I'm bench pressing. It was awful. So bad. And I got all these people on Twitter telling me no, it's good. I'm like,
Yes.
no, it's not good. It's awful. It is awful. So there's my last recommendation is to never listen to that song.
I shouted out all of my supporters from that because I know they tweeted at both of you and all on our Facebook page and everything, and I very much appreciate that. Chris, you need to go back to the stadium sounds of brunch for your pump up. Your wife needed that for being in labor as well. I hope she cashed in on that. But yeah, ding dong, not best for a workout playlist, but other than that, it's the song of the summer.
That might have been the best. That might have been the biggest reaction that we've gotten to, like, comment wise, on any post that we've
Anything
made. Was yeah, ding dong. Because the amount of people who hit me up and were like, "Oh my god, I watched this movie. I watched this movie. I love this movie. I love that song." I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" Like,
thank you, all you people. Thank you for the support.
Wow, my god. Well, that's it for the brunch breakdown. Let us, everybody, everyone, tell them where they can find everything Brunch Breakdown.
Ooh, tell them. Well, they can follow us on social media at Brunch Breakdown. Of course, we're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Please follow us on all those. We will follow you back. And you can always find the podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, whether it be iTunes, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, anything, everything. It's all there. And then the video podcast is also available on YouTube except for when the power goes out at Chris's house. But other than that, usually the full video episodes are up at YouTube and also on our Facebook page as well.
I love it. Well, boys, until next time, we'll see you all at the table. We out. Peace.